Yarg me hearties, duelists. Today, we're sailing the seven seas in the hopes of plundering the booty. But first, this video is sponsored by no one. So if you like the video, you want to see more like it, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that ghost bell and Haunted Mansion down below to get notified whenever a new video is up. Now, let's get after it with Plunder Patrol. All right, I'm not doing that voice anymore. But anyway, Plunder Patrol, a deck that I have been eagerly waiting to do. And now that we are in full adventure mode with the Brave engine, we have reached our final form of this deck. And I'm excited to present to you today one of the coolest decks, I think, in the Master Duel format today. So let's talk Plunder Patrols. Plunder Patrols care about a lot of things. They care about tagging in and out, similar to how Dragon Maids function. They care about equipping themselves to extra deck monsters. They care about being sent from the field or hand to the grave. And they also care about the attributes that our opponents control on field or in grave. Now, we're playing 5 main deck Plunder Patrol monsters, and we're playing them all at 3, so let's look at them. Now, Whitebeard is going to be one of our better ones, if not our best one. It's a tuner, so it allows us to go into some synchro plays, but also this allows us to tag out into our extra deck monsters, and this is kind of the first major mechanic of the Plunder Patrols, is that on your opponent's turn, we can special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from the extra deck with the same attribute as a monster on our opponent's side of the field or in graveyard, and then equip one of our Plunder Patrols to that monster. In this case, we are special summoning something from the extra deck, equipping Whitebeard to it. Whitebeard also allows us to special summon a Plunder Patrol from the deck when it's sent from the hand or field to the grave. Next, we have Redbeard, arguably our worst Plunder Patrol, but it is a name, and also it does have that tag out effect similar to Whitebeard. We have Bluebeard, which allows us to loot when it's sent from hand or field to the grave, and also can special summon itself if we have another Plunder Patrol out on the field. And then we have Goldenhair. This is our easiest one-card starter. Once again, this is a tuner, so we can get access to some of our synchro plays, but also if this card's in the graveyard, we can discard any card, not just a Plunder Patrol, to special summon this, but oftentimes we will want to discard a Plunder Patrol to proc those abilities. And you can also special summon this from the hand by sending a Plunder Patrol from hand or field to the graveyard. Finally, we have Black Eyes. Now, Black Eyes also can special summon itself by returning a Plunder Patrol from grave to hand. So now we're starting to recycle. We're maintaining that resource loop. And then Black Eyes can special summon any Plunder Patrol that we have equipped to one of our monsters from the spell and trap zone when it is sent from the field or hand to grave. Of course, this is modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So we also have a busted field spell to go along. It buffs our Plunder Patrols. It allows us to discard Plunder Patrols, which is of course going to proc them to then search Plunder Patrols, and it can even recycle itself from the grave as well. Like I said, we are also running the Adventure Package. Now, the Adventure Package is real nice because obviously this is extra negates, it's extra bodies on the field, but also the discarding that comes with Fateful Adventure is fine with our Plunder Patrols, and we don't mind discarding something like a Draco back to our Plunder Patrol effects as well, or a Water Enchantress of the Temple, because these can all trigger in grave. Also, of course, Forbidden Droplet is great in any deck in this format, but it's especially good with Plunder Patrol because once again, we can send these things and proc them off them going to the grave from hand or field. And finally, we have our singular Plunder Patrol Bodhi, which allows us to actually forcefully change the attributes of our opponent's monsters so that we can get into those relevant extra deck slots that we want, and also then allows us to recycle or special summon Plunder Patrols from the grave that we might have sent there or got destroyed by battle. Speaking of the extra deck, let's talk about what we're working with. We have 2 of each ship. Now, Plunder Patrol has a Fusion, we have a Synchro, and we have an Xyz. Since all of our Plunder Patrols are level 4s and multiple of them are tuners, we can easily just go into the Synchro or the Xyz without having to utilize that tag out effect. The Fusion is harder. There is a Fusion spell for Plunder Patrol, but it's not very good, so we're not playing it. Each of our 3 ships has 3 effects that they come equipped with. So a blanket effect that affects all of our Plunder Patrols, a activated ability that we can do quick effect on our opponent's turn, as well as a search ability that comes off of activating that activated effect. Now, Liss allows us to not only special summon equipped Plunder Patrols that we might have in the back row, but it also can negate things and then search any Plunder Patrol card. Bran gives us a buff, as well as allows us to banish spell and traps and then search Plunder Patrol monsters. And finally, Mowerk allows us to protect from destruction, and then can banish monsters, and allows us to search Plunder Patrol spells and traps. Really, the granddaddy, the captain of this whole crew, if you will, is Blackbeard. Blackbeard is our link to. It has that tag out effect, and you can even use itself, so we can get Blackbeard, and then on our opponent's turn immediately equip him to a monster that we special summon from the extra deck. He also draws us a card whenever we do any of this tagging out as well, to make sure that we are maintaining card advantage, because that's one of the weaknesses of this deck, is that we can run out of cards really quickly if we're continually discarding. Since I mentioned earlier, all of our Plunder Patrol monsters are waters, so we can easily make White Aura Whale, allows us to Raigeki our opponent's monsters, attack multiple times, inflict piercing battle damage, and then even resurrect itself when it's destroyed. Excellent inclusion. We also get Dragite, which allows us to negate spells and traps, since all of our monsters are waters, as well as we are playing 2 Nibiru, so theoretically we could get some bounce action going, but it just functions as another negate. And finally, we have the Bahamut Shark into Toad package, because once again, all waters. Lastly, a Geno Transverser, just usually to give our opponent an attribute, maybe a Nibiru, maybe a water in the form of one of our Plunder Patrol pirates, especially if that's going to be a Golden Hair attack position, which we can just easily attack over. And finally, Salamangreat Almirage. This is a 1-card starter with our Golden Hair. If we normal summon Golden Hair, go into Almirage, then we can special summon back Golden Hair from the grave by discarding, and then we can go into Blackbeard and continue our plays. That's pretty much it for the deck. Let's set sail. All right, on the play, we have a Foolish Barrow, so we can immediately send a Water Enchantress to get that engine going. Gonna banish that, add a right to the hand. We can activate the right, of course, get the token, set the adventure, and get off to the races. Now we're gonna activate the Shipyard. Gonna Shipyard, pitching the Bluebeard, adding the Whitebeard. Bluebeard will trigger. We can now pitch our Whitebeard to draw another card. Whitebeard will trigger. Now we can special summon from the deck. We're gonna get ourselves a Golden Hair. Fateful Adventure will trigger, allowing us to equip the Draco back, and now we can special summon the Bluebeard because we have another Plunder Patrol on board. But we're gonna go into Blackbeard. You know it. Always got to go into the captain. Fateful Adventure triggering again, we'll add the Griffin Rider and actually pitch this droplet, set the Call by the Grave, and then pass the turn. We were locked into Plunder Patrol monsters, so I'm going to special summon that Wandering Griffin Rider as soon as I get the chance. AKA, right now, as our opponent goes into Lone Fire Blossom, they elected to go for the Forbidden Droplet, sending several cards. They're going to negate our Blackbeard and our Griffin, and then hop off the field with the Lone Fire, but I have the Call by the Grave. I'm not going to allow them to be searching or potentially cycling through other Lone Fire Blossoms they might have in their deck, and they only have 2 cards in hand, so even though we got our board broken by the Forbidden Droplet, I'm not feeling too bad. Our opponent's going to set one and pass. Alright, let's see what we can do now that we have the Crackback. Draw into a Plunder Patrol Matey. Okay, our opponent realizes that they are not going to have the option we had. So we had 5,500 damage on board there, 2k from the Griffin, 2k from the token, and then 1,500 from the Blackbeard. And the cool thing about Blackbeard is it is a quick effect. So we can hop out in the battle phase. We could actually go Griffin, Adventurer token, Blackbeard, hop out for a 2,500 attack Bran, and that would be lethal right there. On the play again, not much going on for us, unfortunately. We do have the Fateful Adventure, but our opponent's going to max C us. We're just going to let that resolve. I'd rather save my called by for bigger fish, especially since we don't have much going on. I'm just going to set that Bluebeard. Potentially they'll walk into it and we can trigger, but otherwise we're just going to have to hope for the best here. Our opponent sets one and goes for the tanky. They are on Tri-Brigade. Okay, now we've played against Tri-Brigade before. We know the choke points. We just need to hope that they don't have too much resiliency. They're going to activate Fractale, sending Kit. Kit is going to activate, sending Nerval. Nerval is going to attempt to search, but right now is when I want to call by the grave and negate that Nerval. Hopefully they don't have anything in the hand and won't be able to get any crazy link summonings off. Alright, now with Nerval negated and banished, they're going to normal summon another Nerval, which is actually going to trigger our Fateful Adventure, so we can grab a Draco back. That's going to be good discard fodder for later. They're going to attempt to activate the Nerval. Yu-Gi-Oh players, not reading. That has been negated, my friend, and it will be negated all through my turn as well. So they just banished for no reason, but we'll see. They could still have something up their sleeve. They've got some back row going on. We will go for Feather Duster, attempt to clear the back row, and they're going to chain the Revolt. Now, Revolt can actually get them their banished monsters, so it's not too much. But we do have the Max C, so we will get to draw at least once, if not twice. They're going to go for 1, 2, 3. And then we'll get our Max C draw, and they'll go for the Link 3. They're going to go for Rugal. Not going to go for Shirag. Interesting. But they will go for Rugal. And then we will clear that back row. Nerval technically attempts to trigger again. Nerval will be negated. Kit will activate, of course. And they're going to send a Karos. Now we can go for the Adventure Gaming deck. Let's banish that Enchantress. Going to go for right. Right will get us a token, of course. In attack mode, we can potentially OTK. Now we're going to trigger the Adventure, add the Griffin Rider. We're going to pitch the Dracoback since we already have that in hand. That will allow us to just immediately equip. Special summon the Griffin Rider. All right, now that we've got our Adventure combo out of the way, let's go for our Bahamut Shark. We are not locked into Plunder Patrols. We didn't activate any of those effects. We can go for Bahamut Shark. They're going to go for the Rugal, but I'm going to Droplet, and we don't need that Adventure anymore. We've got all the pieces to the puzzle, so I'm going to negate that and prevent them from getting out of there. All right, with that special summon negated, now we can send the Rugal back to the extra deck, attack over for 2k, 2 more K, and then a clean 26. Post-combat, going to activate the Bahamut Shark to get the totally awesome from the extra deck. Would not have been able to attack with the Bahamut Shark if we did that first main phase, so wanted to get that extra 2,600 in. We can pass it back to our opponent. It's got to be a pretty lucky draw off the top. Ooh, doesn't look like it's good enough. Opponent concedes. Back on the play against Traptrix. Ooh, yeah, Myrmelio is going to be a good Ash target. Let's negate that. I don't really need to be dealing with a ton of back row, especially in a deck like this. Opponent's going to link off into Sarah. Sarah's a problem, but we can deal... oh, not so sure we can deal with the Parallel Exceed special summon. We're going to get to draw a few cards. One off the original Exceed, one off the second, and then any potential link summoning that they go. That's 3 cards. That's not bad. Droplet is huge. That's going to be a great way to break this board, especially against something like Sarah. And there is our secret tech playing the Kaiju to ensure that our opponent has a Dark, so we can go for a Mower. They're going to go into Time Thief Redoer. I'm going to elect to attempt to just get my Griffin Rider out now before they get any Time Thief shenanigans going. Unfortunately, they do have the Max C, so they'll draw a card, but 2 cards in hand is not the worst thing I've seen. They're going to get the Time Thief out of there and then bring it back in our standby, or our draw phase. Alright, so they're going to go and fire, take the Duster, really would have liked that, but we can Kaiju right over. They're going to Torrential Tribute. Okay, so no Griffin negate for us, and unfortunately Sarah is unaffected, but when it goes to trigger, I can Droplet, sending the Black Eyes. Alright, with Sarah negated, we can now go for, of course, Adventure Gaming. Normal summon the Black Eyes allows us to add the Dracoback, which we can pitch later. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the Griffin to search, but we can at least grab the Water Enchantress, activate the Enchantress, and get ourselves a free 2k beater. There's the right. Now we can go for Dracoback. Now, I know I'm going to be able to hit over the Sarah, so let's send that back row back. Just in case it's something dangerous in the battle phase. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to be going for bigger plays. Black Eyes cannot target itself, and that is our only Plunder Patrol in the grave. So we're just going to have to hope that this is good for right now. Called by the Grave will certainly help, especially if they go for another Sarah and we can nuke the one in grave. Alright, there's a Griffin Rider. That's a big butt that we can't get over. And they'll set 2. Presumably one of those is going to be some Traptrix variant. Golden Hair is a huge rip. Probably the best draw on our deck right now. First off, let's just get that Griffin out of here. Now, unfortunately, I'm dumb, and this can just resummon, but it is what it is. We can still get over it. We can go into Adamantipator, Risen, Dragite. Dragite can get over it. There you go. They're going to chain Shade Brigandine. We're going to Excavate. No rocks, but, you know, we're just trying to see what we could do. Let's activate the Fateful, adding the Water Enchantress. It's going to have to pitch itself. But we're just getting cards out of deck because we want to be drawing strictly Plunder Patrols from now on, really. Alright, well, at least we can clear our opponent's field now. 3k over the 2800 Griffin, 2k over the Shade Brigandine, and we can go to main phase 2 and pass the turn. Let's see what our opponent has. There's a lot of live draws in the Traptrix decks, but we are doing alright, especially since the fact that Dragite is a spell trap negate specifically. Our opponent's going to scoop it up. Apparently they did not find what they were looking for. On the draw again, but this is certainly a hand we can work with. Probably the most Plunder Patrol names we've had all video. Opponent on Branded. Okay, so Aluber the Boober is here. Despia is here. We're going to be going into, you guessed it, it's the Tax Dragon. Alright, we are going to need to most likely droplet that. We're going to be activating a lot of things, especially if this is going to go to a grindy game, which is generally how Plunder Patrol plays. I know a lot of our games have been decided because our opponent just scoops, but if we really played it out, this is a grindy matchup. Opponent adding Poly and Ejim's Chain off the Frightful Patchwork, setting one. Honestly, for Despia, it could be a lot worse of a board. We are going to immediately Forbidden Droplet, take our 600, send our Bluebeard, and then negate that Masquerade so we can get it out of here in the battle phase. Bluebeard's going to trigger, and we'll send the Redbeard. Now, unfortunately, they're going to Ash here, negating our draw. But I will at least get the Griffin Rider out now before they go for any other form of negation. Griffin Rider at least going to be able to attack over the Masquerade. We can Foolish, and Foolish will allow us to bin a Enchantress, and you know the drill. Enchantress for right, right for token, add the Fateful, and then we're off to the races. Since we have our Griffin Rider already, that means our negate is online, which is very nice. And we can, of course, recycle that Bluebeard with our Black Eyes. We have not yet normal summoned, so we will be able to go for the Bluebeard, but I'm actually just going to special summon it just in case we want to use our normal summon sometime later on in the turn. Let's go into the Captain, Blackbeard. Let's send that Masquerade back. I'd rather just get the damage through and not have any triggers of it special summoning back from the grave. Now, of course, Aluber will trigger in grave, but we can get over that. We're going to tag out before Aluber resolves for a Bran. Bran can then send the Whitebeard. We could banish either the set back row or the Theater. Probably the Theater. Attack over Aluber, get in for a healthy chunk of damage. And we would have had close to lethal, if not lethal, because we would have been able to special summon and continue our plays off of the Whitebeard that we sent for our Bran. All right, final game, and we are on the draw again. Opponent on Time Thief. It's not a deck you see every day. They're going to normal summon the Winder and go for the startup. I'm going to fire the Maxi here since that's going to get them special summoning and most likely engaging in some Xyz activity. There's the ship. We'll get another Maxi off the top. Great, you'll love to see it. And there's the Redoer, the boy himself. Now, we have the Droplet for him, but I want to kind of fire that reactively for when they go to activate it, because we know he can just jump off the field as long as he's maintaining these materials. He's going to take a Shipyard off the top, which is not the greatest, but feeling all right. We're going to activate Golden Hair, sending Whitebeard. They're going to respond with the Flyback. Well, here's the Golden Hair. We're going to activate our Whitebeard and summon Redbeard from the deck just to get names in rotation. Now we can go Droplet now that they've attempted to activate Redoer, and we have no problem sending the Enchantress because we can banish her from the grave, of course. Alright, Redoer is negated and halved, so now we're really cooking with gasoline. We can banish, of course, the Water Enchantress, add the right. We've seen these plays. Let's just speed up through this a little bit real quick. We can go into Blackbeard, trigger Golden Hair, sending the right, bringing back the golden hair. Special summoning the Bluebeard. I elected to just not go for the adventure lines because I was getting bored of them at this point, but you know, generally it is proper to go there. See, we're even ditching the Griffin. We're good. There's the Fateful Adventure. Okay, so sure, we can activate that and at least just get more cards out of the deck. Now let's go to battle phase. We can easily beat over, especially since we have that buff from our brand. Let's tag out in the battle phase and get ourselves a Mork. Just to get more damage, trigger our adventure, get more cards out of our deck. Like I said, we are not really ever OTKing in this deck, so grinding and making sure that we thin our deck as much as possible is always the name of the game. Main 2, we can trigger our Plunder Patrol Shipyard and send back that equipped Blackbeard to recur it from the grave. Ditch the Dracoback, adding the Booty. Let's set the Booty. It's going to allow us to special summon as well as manipulate the attributes of our opponent's monsters. And let's just go into another Blackbeard so that we can continue the tag out train rolling. And with that resource loop set up, Time Thieves, wouldn't you know it, could not stand up. And that's the deck, that's the crew, and that's the whole ship, Plunder Patrol. This is a sick deck. This is a really sick deck. It requires brain power, which is hard for Yu-Gi-Oh players. I know because I'm one of them. But it's super fun to play. Very grindy. You're not going to be OTKing, like I said. We're not comboing off. There's a lot of just really playing a mid-rangey, even control-y strategy, which I like. It's not something that you have a lot of days in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. But it's very versatile. I think we only bricked one time. And even then we were able to play through it because we added the adventure engine. Really enjoy this deck. Certainly a hard deck to master, but an incredibly rewarding one to pilot, to crew efficiently. Jules out.